If months ago someone had told me that Titanfall 2 would be one of the best shooters not only of the year, but of recent years, that it was possibly even Game of the Year contender, I would have laughed at them. How much could they have improved the first one? I mean, there was a lot to fix, there was a lot of criticisms against it, but how much would they actually go through with in terms of improving it and listening to the criticisms of the original Titanfall? What would they actually do about it? We live in an industry where mediocrity has become the standard in many cases, where AAA games and studios don't really take advantage of all the money and power that we all know that they have to make these games. Increasingly, people rely on indie games or smaller titles to sate them through, free-to-plays or niche games by smaller developers. But amongst all that, it is more than refreshing to have received Titanfall 2 and seen that all of the praise it was receiving was well-deserved. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, there is a disclaimer. I was given Titanfall 2 in a promotional crate that was delivered to my door, compliments of Electronic Arts. Really? Like a 50-pound crate showed up at my door, and it was full of 5 copies of Titanfall 2. It had, like, the helmet, it had the whole big collector's edition thingy. Looks really, really sweet, looks really awesome. So there's my disclaimer. I didn't buy this game. It was given to me for promotional purposes. I sent out copies for people to review, and I told them, review this game honestly. I have a reputation to keep for being honest. Regardless of anything that EA gives me or does for me, it will not taint my opinion of the game. Yes, that was a bad grenade throw. I wasn't used to the grenade timing in this game yet. Because some games you'll like throw your grenade really quick, like Battlefield, and other games like you pull the pin, then you throw it, so there's a delay, and it's something I had to get used to. But this will be a completely honest review. I'm not sucking up to anybody. I'm not looking for extra promotions. They sent me a game, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. And end of story. You all know that I'm honest, and I do have a reputation to keep. And this isn't I don't make money off doing this anyway. So Titanfall 2 comes out, and there's a lot of criticisms about it. They say that the multiplayer wasn't deep enough. They say that there was no campaign, and that they really, really wanted a campaign. They were worried about the fragmented player population as time went on. And what did they do? They listened to basically every criticism that was made about the first Titanfall, and they fixed it. And not only did they fix it in some regards, they went above and beyond what was necessary. Specifically with how excellent the campaign is in Titanfall 2. A lot of people might buy this game and think that the main pull of the game will be multiplayer, and it will give you the most hours in total of enjoyment. But the single player for Titanfall 2, do not think I'm being hyperbolic when I say that it is one of the most enjoyable and fun and incredible single player experiences I've ever had in a shooter, period. Titanfall 2 will for a long time be one of the games that I look back on and think incredibly fondly of. Its shortcomings are minimal, but what it does excellently, it knocks out of the park. The original Titanfall's campaign mode was basically multiplayer matches with a little bit of narration. That is absolutely not at all what Titanfall 2 is about. We're talking like a Call of Duty style game, except it's fun, and it doesn't get boring. I would have beaten the 4-ish hour campaign of Titanfall 2 in a single sitting if I didn't have to go to work. I'm serious, and once I came back from work, I jumped back on and I finished it. And it's that good. Very rarely does a campaign in a video game give me such thrills. A lot of the time when I'm playing a game and I'm really getting into it, I kind of hunch forward, my face gets closer to the screen, and I really focus. That was happening all the time with Titanfall 2. Man, the amount of just cool shit that you are constantly doing in this game, it makes you feel like a badass. You constantly feel like you're this cool super soldier bouncing off walls, throwing grenades, shooting guns. It feels great. It gives you this edge of your seat sort of action feel that Call of Duty really doesn't give me, or a lot of people from what I hear. This game feels like Call of Duty, what it tries to be, what it tries to do, but it does it really not well at all. But this is the game that really it should have been. I got a little list of bullet points here that I've put together, and we'll start going through them get this finished up with. The campaign is fairly short, only about 4.5 hours is what it took for me to finish it. It felt longer because I was really enjoying it, and I have replayed some of the missions because they are fun. It is a fun game to play. There are collectibles here and there. I wasn't too interested in them, just not my thing, but if you're looking for that completionist aspect in a game, it is to be found here if that's what you're into. But the replayability will mostly be probably from you just enjoying the game, seeing how badass you could be, what kind of cool stuff you can put together. The levels themselves have a lot of variety to them. You'll be outside, inside, in the deep bowels of these Halo-sized, massive installations. You will be on ships as they fly through the air. It's really impressive, the variety of places that you'll be, and it keeps the levels fresh and interesting. You do get this kind of wow sort of vibe at the scale that they decide to make a lot of these facilities and structures. It shows how big and developed the world of Titanfall 2 is, and on that note, you don't have to really understand the story or have to have played the first Titanfall to know what's going on or who you are or where you are, that sort of thing. It's not really all that important. But as you go through these levels and you see just how big things are, as I said before, it gives you these Halo vibes. The size of the installations, it does lend credence to the world around you. And some levels in particular, you see how big things actually are. You get great sci-fi vibes from this game. The story itself is nothing special. It's not great. It's not bad. It does a well enough job giving you a reason to be here, a reason to be doing the things that you're doing. Middle of the road kind of story. The characters you don't care about. The only person you care about the only thing you care about in this game is really B27274, who's the Titan that you're with. All of the commanders and other assistant characters, you don't care really. The enemies that you face, even the ones with names that you hear chattering on the radio as you play through them, you don't really care about them. They're just really just a bunch of nobodies. Don't play this game for the story. The story's there. It doesn't get in the way, but it gives you a good reason to be doing things, and yeah, fair enough. I think that Respawn thinks the story is better than what it really is, with the way they hype it up, especially with the ending credits and stuff. But, Graphically, though, Titanfall 2 is one of the most gorgeous games I have played all year. I think a lot of people would laugh if I said that one of the best-looking games of the year is Titanfall 2, and console players, sorry, but you don't know how beautiful games are on high-end PCs. I mean, you just don't know till you see it with your own eyes. Don't mean to put you down, that's just the way it is. I was able to run this game 1440p, at all ultra everything. To my knowledge, the game never dropped below 60. It ran really well, which helped to really immerse you in the world. And of course, obviously, the gameplay bonuses that come from the smoothness of your controls. The environments look fantastic. The textures on the guns are stellar. Everything about this game shows that they put immense work and effort into making it look absolutely fantastic. And look at the lighting here. Look at how the lighting affects the guns. It really is gorgeous, and you could tell that they just put so much time into making this look not good, not great, but excellent. That's why I'm so hesitant to have only console people decide what games are the most beautiful, because games like this, which a lot of console players might not consider to be really, really good looking, well, they just haven't played it at its true potential. Can you tell I'm a PC player? I'm just messing with you and just yanking your chain a bit. But the mouse and keyboard controls do make things a lot easier and allow you to pull off the really cool maneuvers that the game lets you perform, when you can run and look and do all this stuff without having to worry about, aiming things with a controller. The satisfaction of knowing that there's no auto-aim or magical software feature that plays for you, it gives you a lot of, it gives you that sense of, I'm awesome because I'm doing this by myself. This is my real aim. The guns and weapons are very exciting and interesting to use. There's a wide variety of different weapons that behave and perform in a variety of different ways. They're interesting. They really didn't follow the script on dull, boring, average weapons. There's just some really cool stuff here. Weapons with double barrels, there's the obligatory standard shotguns and rifles and things, but you have the laser beams, you have the grenade shurikens that explode and fire, you've got plasma this, you've got spacey future whatevers. You're going through the game, you're picking up this weapon, that weapon, and no matter what you have in your hands, it feels potent. All in all, the campaign is just fun. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. I got that feeling of just in my heart, you know, that feeling you get when you're playing something really, really exciting, when you're watching a really, really exciting movie. And it plays, and I know it's a really tired and worn out term. We see it tossed around casually, how it's cinematic, a blockbuster experience. But with the Titanfall 2's campaign, you really do get that vibe. It does give you this sense of tense excitement. It's a thrill. This game is just a blast to play. It's just fun. The pacing is excellent. It just keeps you wanting to play, and it's not very long, which is really the only true big complaint that I have about the campaign, but I'm willing to let that slide because of how good the experience actually was. I mean, this is a really good single player, really good, and they could have done something that was subpar and average and normal and forgettable, but what they did with the campaign was went from no campaign to one of the best campaigns I've ever played in a shooter. In the single player, it almost makes the whole price worth it. But enough about that. Campaign, fantastic. One of the best I've played in a long time. A blast from start to finish. Let's look at the multiplayer now. The multiplayer I didn't enjoy quite as much as the single player, but it's still really good, and I do like the multiplayer design that they have going. I've really only played attrition, which seems to be the primary mode people play for the most part, and I'll get into the populations later of players and all that. Multiplayer rounds are not terribly long, and it's really fun to play in short bursts, though I couldn't find myself playing it over and over. I got about 4 games max, and then I'd quit and I'd do something else. Then I'd come back to it and I'd play it for a couple more games, and then I'd be okay, I'm done now. I'll go do something else. It'll come back later. It's like Killing Floor 2 in a way. You play it in bursts. Play 10 rounds, leave it, come back later. But if I had to sum it all up in one word, I would say frantic. It's frenzied. It's almost chaotic in a way. There's so much going on in Titanfall 2's multiplayer. It can leave you sort of confused when you start off, especially. When I started up, I had no idea what was going on, what things were, what are all these attachments, what are all these powers. I mean, it's good in a way to be overwhelmed by things because it means that there's a lot in the game to look at and see and do. But I think the game could benefit a little bit more by explaining to you, this is that, that does this, here's what you're supposed to do, all that jazz. However, once you kind of learn what things are and what the game's about in multiplayer, there is definitely a lot of enjoyment to be had. It's extremely fast-paced. And even though the chaotic nature of the pace doesn't impede your ability to understand things when you start off, you do pick it up fairly quickly, at least everything you need to know. The attrition game mode has both bots and humans in it at one time. It's like 6v6 or something like that. And the maps are really built well for this. But the way it works in attrition, for those of you who don't know, is that it's not necessarily about what team gets the most kills. It's about points. That's kind of where the bots come in. And I like this aspect in a game, and I kind of wish it was in other games too. Because your team is competing against their team for points. And whoever gets the maximum amount of points first will win. But you don't just get points from killing enemy pilots. You get it from killing the enemy AI too. The grunts that are on the map are basically just point fodder. Same thing with the little specters and all that. But you play this game and you work for the points. You don't necessarily work for the kills. So having the system built like this does a couple things. One, it means that there's basically no camping in this game. I mean, there's the obviously wait. If you know someone's coming, wait around the corner for them, simple stuff like that. But the whole camping in a spot, getting points or kills, that just doesn't happen in Titanfall 2. It's not a thing. The game isn't based around that idea. You have to be mobile. You have to be constantly moving, jumping off walls, using grappling hooks, all that stuff. And well-timed grappling hooks especially can be super fun. But the game doesn't track your deaths, for instance, and I like that. It encourages you to be bold. Everything about this game tells you to go out and just go, run around, shoot things, just go out there, go. Some games are slow-paced, they're tactical. Some games have kind of a mix of speed and, plodding along. But this game is all about moving forward. It's all about being mobile. Go, 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 go. Because it's a rush to get points. Since you get 5 points for a pilot kill, the idea is you want to get at least 5 points before you die, so that you have a net positive point thing. It's like KD, but it's with points instead. And I really like that they don't track the deaths that you have. They track your kills and your points. And points are what comes first. Again, another thing I like. It's like Battlefield. You could have 30 kills, but if someone else has more points than you, they're going to be higher than you on the scoreboard. So you can be, theoretically, at the top of the scoreboard and the best player in the game, even if you don't kill a single enemy pilot. You just go around killing AI and doing things like that. If you can do it well enough, you can be at the top because you're helping out your team. I like this, like I said, for a number of reasons. One, that it keeps things mobile, and there's basically no camping, as I said. But two, it means that people who are not very good at this game, or who aren't really good at shooters in general, or PvP in general, it means they can still contribute to the team in a meaningful way. It means that even though they're not as good at shooting other players as those players are, they can still go out and they can help the team, and they can be useful and feel useful. It lets them have fun while they're playing a game. Even if every time they see another pilot, they get roasted by him, they can still do good for the team because they're getting those points. Now, obviously, the game is Titanfall, okay? And like in single player here, you can have multiplayer. I didn't see this. This isn't single player. This is multiplayer footage. In single player, you have multiple loadouts for Titans, and in multiplayer, you have multiple loadouts for Titans. Titan combat is still not something I've kind of got down. I'm okay with it. It's really tough. There's definitely a real skill curve, like a learning curve for learning how Titans work especially. Pilot stuff is fairly simple. It's a gun, you shoot people with it, there you go. But with Titans, you have a number of abilities and a certain amount of movement that you can use, and there's definitely a lot to learn here. You're not just going to pick up a Titan and wreck other Titans with it. It's just not going to happen. You have to learn the game, and I like that about this game. I like the fact that I can't just hop into a Titan and demolish the enemy team. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm really damn good in first-person shooters, so I normally do really well as a pilot. But there's a lot that I still have to learn about Titan combat. And I look forward to getting better as we go, or as I go when I play this game. And already in the hours that I've played, I see myself getting far better in the Titans I use and the tactics I take with them. The weapons, a lot of them are the same ones as they are in the single player. They're varied. There's a lot of interesting stuff to see. It's really cool to pick up this gun and that gun. And while the variety in Titanfall 2's multiplayer isn't that great in terms of the weapons themselves, or at least the weapon count, they are interesting. They have a lot of variety to them, and that makes the smaller selection of weapons feel like there's more than there really are. And all the guns that I've used have been useful. I haven't had a gun and had it suck. One of the reasons is because, especially when it comes to pilot combat, pilots can be really squishy. I mean, if you're close to enemies, they will just drop in a second. And obviously at range, it gets harder and harder to kill Titans. I mean, pilots. At range, it is really tough, in fact, to kill pilots because of the mobility emphasis that there is in this game. A lot of your kills will probably happen pretty close to one another. It does seem just odd how quickly you can die as a pilot when fighting another pilot, but again, that just encourages you to stay mobile. A still pilot is often a dead pilot. You want to move, go, 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 go. Make yourself as difficult to hit as possible. The maps are really well designed in Titanfall 2. They are clearly built around mobility. There's so many surfaces to run off of, to jump off of. You get to put all that excellent mobility to use. Not only are their maps gorgeous and beautiful and varied in their designs, they are built with a very functional purpose. And they all are fun to play on. I never felt, oh, this map again. Oh, I hate this map. They were all good. The maps are good. I was also surprised at the immense levels of customization in this game. Like, it was kind of shocking. When you launch the multiplayer through the menu, and they have their holidays events, so, good on them, but you can customize your pilot and your Titans. You can have different loadouts here that change your appearance, firstly, different grenade types. There is an extensive amount of camouflages for your character to actually have, and a lot of them are very bright and obvious, so I do like that about the game. You have your primary weapon, assault rifles, light machine gun, sniper rifles, all that sort of thing. Not a big variety, but they feel different. You have your pistols and anti-Titan weapons, and they can be customized too. Kit 1 stuff, executions for other Titans and things, Kit 2 stuff, little enhancements for your character that lets you do different things. You have, obviously, the attachments for the stuff. Not very extensive, to be quite frank. They could use a lot more. And then you have camos for your weapons, too. Again, a very impressive array of different camos. Like, almost excessive how many there are. But hey, it's aesthetic. Go for it. So you can fiddle around with all this, find out which little things you like best. I like the stim best personally so far, and the sonar, but that's just me. But you can also customize your Titan as well with different little kits and loadouts. You've got your camos. You've got the little face paint thingies up on the front. You've got the camos for the weapons that you see. You have kit upgrades that do different stuff. It's really crazy how well they increased customization in this game and gave longevity to unlocks and upgrades. Also, this guy, I don't know, wants me to play a game. Sorry, I'm making a video. There's a lot to unlock here. There's a lot to keep you coming back to this game. It's fun. Not exactly my kind of game, but I did have fun when I played it. And I never got, and this is weird because I take games like this really competitively, I never got upset. I never got, like, angry. You know, I never got the feeling that someone was using really cheap shit against me. Because if you die, it's like, that's okay. I mean, the other team gets 5 points. It's not a huge deal. And you're back into the fight pretty quick to just go around and wreck stuff. Though there are some aspects that I didn't really like about this game's multiplayer. I don't like, again, see how fast I killed that guy? I was like, I just looked at him and he got liquefied. I do wish there was, well, in games where the times to kill are so low, the differences between the guns oftentimes don't get to shine. Even though one aspect that I like about this game is that your primary weapon has unlimited ammo, but you do have to reload after the end of every magazine. You don't have to worry about running out of bullets, searching for bullets, getting resupplied. No, it's just go, kill, shoot, die. Just something I don't really prefer, but it certainly keeps you on your toes, that's for certain. The spawns can also be, quite frankly, awful in this game. It's not a huge deal when you die, but it's really frustrating when multiple times in a match you do respawn and walk 20 feet forwards before, oh, there's an enemy Titan right there, and he punches you and you have to respawn again. The spawns definitely need some work. And by some, I mean a lot. Some of the spawns can just be downright crappy. And if you're looking for a game explicitly to play with friends of yours in a cooperative fashion, I don't think I could really recommend Titanfall 2 to be that game. Because it's so easy to kill enemies, because the time to kill is so low, and because the game stresses this extreme maneuverability where you're constantly moving and jumping and going here and there and all around the square, playing the game with friends as pilots on the ground probably won't give you that much to really do together. Because you're moving around so fast, it's going to be hard for you to communicate, hey, we're going this way, going that way, going this way, going that way. And because, since pilots are pretty fragile, it's best to split up, not to be, together with someone else. Now, as Titans, obviously this shines a lot more. Titans are much tougher. In games where the time to kill is higher, like Halo, for instance, sticking together is more important as a strategy. It's not like you can kill multiple enemies with one magazine and then reload and move along. Titan combat takes more time. There's definitely a bit of a strategy to it. What weapons do I use? What abilities do I use? Do I retreat? Do I press forward? When you're with a buddy, you can do a lot better. Your Titan will give you an audio cue, in fact. And the Titans have different voices, which is a great addition to the game. But your Titan will give you an auditory warning, hey, there's multiple Titans, you're gonna get fucked up, and so then you know to retreat. But if with your friends, you could push enemy Titans, because a 2, you'll almost always win if you're outnumbering your enemies. However, if you and a friend or a couple friends are looking for a game to spend money on together in order to play cooperatively, this game can be enjoyed too much as a solo experience, and you don't really get too much from it, I think, playing with others. At least as pilots. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm just saying I think there are better options out there for games if you want to play cooperatively. Killing Floor 2, the Battlefield games 1 and 4, Dirty Bomb, Doom, 7 Days to Die, Overwatch, Vermintide. I think those would probably be more satisfying experiences. Because in this game, you can just have a blast by yourself. You just hop on and jump through walls and shoot robots and, you're going to have a gay old time. But here's where we kind of start getting into... Well, I was going to almost make a video called The Tragedy of Titanfall 2, because the developers did such a good job with this game. It looks so good, it plays so good, it's so fun. They really took all the criticisms to heart. And yet the game, in terms of sales, is doing so poorly. As I'm sure you're almost all aware, this game came out in between arguably the two biggest releases of the year. Call of Duty, Infinite Warfare, and Battlefield 1. Two first-person, multiplayer-focused shooter games. And EA decided that Respawn's borderline masterpiece with Titanfall 2, because I love it that much, I'll call it a borderline masterpiece. Is this Respawn's magnum opus? So far, probably it is. And yeah, you can send me all the crates full of goodies that you want, but you fucked Respawn in the asshole when you decided to release Titanfall 2 in between these two other games. I mean, you really did them a disservice. It is tragic that this game has sold... I don't even think it sold a third of the original Titanfalls, when this is an improvement on it in almost every imaginable way. I mean, it's a tragedy. It is a tragedy of gaming. I hate it when games are this good, or when developers listen to the criticisms so well and address them in such a fantastic way, and they are not rewarded in ways I think they should. So shame on you, Electronic Arts, for doing this to Titanfall 2. You should have sat on this game, you should have waited till early January, when everyone's got that sweet Christmas cash to blow on a game. Because this game is worth it. I think it's absolutely worth it. So even though EA really fucked the proverbial pooch on that one, I do have to give credit where credit is due, and say that EA made a very good pro-consumer move when they announced that Titanfall 2 has one of the best business models that I've ever seen in a game. Titanfall 2 doesn't have a season pass, and there are no hidden magical costs for keeping up with the game as it goes through the years. There's no premium like Battlefield has. There's no map packs. There's none of that nonsense that splits up the player base. If you buy Titanfall 2, you get all maps, and you get all modes, you get all the stuff that comes out for this game. It's yours. You get it, because you've paid for the game. And this makes me so happy, because that is exactly what this game needs. Titanfall 2 is kind of struggling in terms of sales. So I am really hopeful that this game will stay alive and get the appreciation it really deserves. Because it will have its player base live on, because the updates are free, because you won't have map packs be separate. Everyone gets access to them. You won't have a splintering player base, because not everybody bought the DLC or the season pass or the premium or what have you. I really want this game to succeed. I really do, because they did such a good job on it, and it's so fun, and they listen to criticism so well in an industry when developers, it almost seems like they snub their noses when gamers say, no, this wasn't great, this is what we want, and this is how you can make it better. There are other criticisms of this game that I have, though some of them are fairly minor. There was no huge issues that I had. I was extremely worried when I first booted up the game, because in the tutorial mission, in just the tutorial mission, I had 3 crashes to desktops. I was very worried. Very worried at that point. I was very, very worried. Luckily, I was able to get through the rest of the whole game with only one other crash, and multiplayer, well, it's crashed once on me too. Luckily, it was never really an issue after the original tutorial, but still, it happened. I mean, no big deal. I mean, I just restarted the computer and it was fine, but that was a minute I could have been spent playing Titanfall 2, which in hindsight, well, I'd rather spend a minute playing Titanfall 2 than restarting my computer real quick. All in all, I think Titanfall 2 is an amazing game. It's a fantastic first-person shooter that takes the genre and really gives it a super fun coat of paint and makes it feel like the cinematic experience Call of Duty tries and fails to be. Even though they were screwed by their publisher, Respawn, the devs, they did a fantastic job listening to the criticisms of the first game and really going above and beyond with making the sequel. If you're looking for a fantastic shooter for the holidays, for Christmas, something to blow your sweet birthday Jesus money on, this may be the one. It's not something you should pass over. There's a reason almost all the reviews for this game have been glowing and positive, and the only things wrong with this game, really, are just the shortness of the campaign and the chance at some crashes. Other than that, I had a blast. I really did. I had a blast with a single player. It was almost unusual to have a game that was just straight up so fun to play. The sound's great, the graphics are great, it runs really well, the multiplayer is exciting, the single player is great. Oh boy, in before herder, Rags is sucking that EA dick trying to get their money, only giving it a good review because he got it for free. No. I have a reputation to keep here. This is a good game because it's a good game. It has nothing to do with this being my first real promotional gift from anybody. I want Respawn to do well. Respawn deserves all the credit here, because Titanfall 2 rocks.